Hi, and welcome to CSCMP's Member Mondays. I'm your host, Tim Pajak, and I'm the Membership Engagement Manager here at CSCMP. Today, we're very delighted to have with us Scott Frederick, Chief Marketing Officer and LTL Carrier Relations at Logistics Plus, a firm based in Erie, PA. Scott, welcome.
Thanks, Tim. Glad to be here. Appreciate it.
Scott, why don't we start with having you share a little bit about your current role and maybe a little background on your company. I know Logistics Plus they're more than just another 3PL, right? I mean, tell us a little bit about what is meant by the plus.
Yeah, well, I mean, Logistics Plus is a 26 plus year old company. We were founded in 1996. I've been with the company a little over 8 years now, but without going into all the history, as the company has evolved and changed over the years, it really has become a full service global logistics company. So we do everything from freight forwarding to, North American brokerage to, warehousing fulfillment, 4PL solutions. Technology is a big piece of what we do today. So pretty fascinating company. We have about over $500 million in sales now, and about 1,000 employees in 45 countries around the world. But again, we're still based here humbly in Erie, Pennsylvania. We're located in the old historic train station, which is kind of a cool venue for our corporate headquarters. But again, so I joined the company 8 years ago to head up the marketing efforts, kind of get more exposure to the company, help with some business development activities. And then the other piece, because I spent 22 years of my career working for LTL, less than truckload carriers on the asset-based side, I also manage all of our LTL carrier relationships, the contracts, and just high-level relationships with the 40 plus LTL carriers that we work with, and then about 160 or so contracts that I have to manage on behalf of those carriers, either for ourselves or our customers. So it's kind of an interesting, kind of duplicate job, or multiple hat sort of job, but that sort of fits with our culture. We're very flat, and so everybody here kind of pitches in wherever they can help out.
What's the biggest challenge you're facing on the job right now, and how are you managing that?
Yeah, I think, as we've grown, certainly, and we become a pretty sizable, company now, we still like to maintain that culture of, being flat and nimble and responsive. And so in that sense, we operate pretty leanly in many areas, and my marketing and LTL relations areas are no exception. So, I think the challenge is kind of juggling all those areas of opportunity, those priorities, and making sure that we're focusing our limited resources on the things that are going to have the biggest payback. And it's really kind of an interesting company that I worked for. It was kind of a cultural change for me when I joined, because throughout my career I had worked for many large public companies that have a lot of structure and rigor and frankly bureaucracy, which sometimes becomes difficult to navigate. This company doesn't have that. In fact, we don't even really have a formal business plan per se. Our only real business plan is to grow, and as long as we're growing, good things happen. And in that sense, it's been pretty refreshing for me, kind of being on the tail end of my career, just being able to have that autonomy to operate in this flat structure where I can be very entrepreneurial and chip in where I think I can add the most value and that sort of thing. So. But it does present some challenges, when you're used to operating with, budgets and a little bit more structure. When you've got this sort of loose environment, it's a challenge sometimes to navigate how to get things done, but it's a good challenge to have.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting for our viewers. You filled out our Meet a Member profile, and they'll be able to see that in the coming months as well, probably after this interview airs. And I saw that one of the things you said about the company was, besides being flat, you guys basically say yes to any supply chain problem that is asked of you. What's that like? Like, really, when it comes down to solving, problem solving of things that are coming from here and then from over here and over here, that must be really challenging in a kind of in today's industry to do all of that. Obviously, it makes sense that it's a flat organization to handle that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's challenging in a exciting and sort of daunting sort of way, because sometimes we say yes to things that frankly we just don't know enough about, that we probably shouldn't be saying yes to. But the cool thing is that we say yes, we sort of acknowledge we're going to do our homework and kind of build up the resources and the capabilities to address that area, and by doing that, that's kind of why through evolution over the past 26 years, we're now a global 3PL that can kind of do everything from, like I said, warehousing to, freight management to, we even have a linguistics company. We manage trucking, we manage, air, ocean imports, exports. We have customs compliance, with customs brokers on staff. We pretty much do a little bit of everything. So that the cool thing we from a marketing standpoint is when we have engagement with prospective customers is we do a good job, I think, of sort of customizing those solutions so we can mix and match, whatever the customer needs, whether it's, maybe I just need, transportation management with freight audit and payments. Well, we can bundle that in a way that, makes sense for that customer. Whereas maybe the next customer wants warehousing, fulfillment, and transportation management, with a TMS on top of it, and so, or a WMS. And we can do all that. So it's really cool. Again, the challenge I think we have is that we don't have too many sort of out of the box solutions. So typically when we're in an engagement, it's very customized. So it does create a lot of work to kind of get to where the customer has the most needs and how we customize that solution to fit them. But in the end, I think it's worked out obviously very successfully for us anyway.
What gives a company like yours an advantage then over another, maybe a competitor? A customer comes to you for that kind of custom solution. What would make them come to Logistics Plus versus another 3PL or 4PL?
Well, I think it's the yes factor, the fact that we don't turn away challenges. We attack them and we figure out how to address them. I also think it's in our name. It's the plus in logistics. Again, it's sort of our culture that we're not just going to deliver the logistics, solution that you're asking for. We're going to try and go above and beyond. So whether that's, more customer service, or whether that's coming up with new and interesting ideas that maybe the customer hadn't thought of before, just going that little extra mile, I think is really in our DNA in terms of putting that plus in logistics. We also have a tagline, passion for excellence. So anybody that works for this company, I think really does have a passion for, providing good customer service and making sure our customers are happy. So those are kind of the intangibles. I think the other thing, which, now that we've got the scale and, kind of the global resources, we really do operate and compete as if we're a big, 3PL, but we still have that sort of culture, privately owned, where we can be nimble and flexible and have less, bureaucracy, if you will. So we can turn things on a dime. We have a slogan here that you won't be waiting for us. So when customers are working with us, generally we're waiting on them. They're not waiting on us because we're ready to spring into action. So I think those are the small things that sort of differentiate us maybe from some other 3PLs that are our size or larger, perhaps.
Very, very interesting. I want to pivot a little bit to technology, because I think it's a super hot topic right now: artificial intelligence, business intelligence, all the things that are happening. Even, I mean, in the 10-15 minutes that we're going to be talking, there's changes happening in that time, right? How is your company utilizing, say, AI? What do you see ahead? Where would that come into play for you guys?
Yeah, I think in my short time with Logistics Plus over the last 5 years, I think it started off with business intelligence, data visualizations, and just being able to kind of understand data. has come a long way. When I joined, we had literally nobody in the area of BI, and now we've got a full team of like 6 dedicated people that do nothing more than all day long create, dashboards and visualizations for our customers to give them insights into their information that they hadn't had before. And now the exciting piece is like what you mentioned, we are actually embedding AI into a lot of those routines and processes as well. Again, it's very, cutting edge and kind of at the beginning stages, but stuff that we're excited about. So, whether it's using AI to help us predict in our warehouse, when should we pick, pack, and ship something in a certain sequence, or maybe help us manage staffing levels to go up or down with, potential spikes in demand. Those are the kind of applications that we see for AI for sure.
Let's take a jump backwards in time too. I know you haven't been a member for that long, and so I think it's really fascinating to ask anyone this. But how did you first get introduced to supply chain or logistics management? Long career in it now. How did you come to it? Because so many of us kind of fall into it, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to date myself here, but when I came out of college many years ago, undergrad studies, I actually had a degree in marketing and had some weird aspiration or thought that I was going to be like a brand manager for a consumer products company. But again, I was just a college kid, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I used a program called WordStar. If anybody who's real old like me might remember that. And I was pretty proficient on doing mail merges. So I mail merge a list living in the state of Michigan, a whole list of companies that I wanted to target, about 150. And one in particular, a trucking company called TNT Holland out of Holland, Michigan, saw my resume and some things that were jumped off on my resume. And they just so happened to be close to where I had a family member living. So I said, well, I can take this job and live, with a family member and not, have a whole lot of expenses right out of college. So I didn't know one trucking company or one logistics company from the next. And of course, 30 plus years later, I'm still in the industry, and it's been very rewarding. And it's been pretty exciting to be part of logistics, something I didn't ever, fathom I'd get into. But, marketing in general is such a discipline that applies to so many different industries. And, it was able to kind of allow me to get my foothold in. But I've done everything over my career, everything from marketing to communications, to operations, customer service, IT management. So it's been pretty cool.
How's your CSCMP membership been impactful in your journey thus far? I know.
Yeah, I've been part of
joined last year, so it's still pretty new, but.
Yeah, I had actually, as a guest, I had been to a couple of CSCMP events in the past. But historically, I had always been part of associations that were a little bit more trade oriented, around trucking and transportation. But, in my role here at Logistics Plus and, our desire to get our name out and network and kind of understand what's going on in supply chain in general, obviously CSCMP was kind of the, de facto association for anybody who wants to be part of supply chain at the macro level. So I just, felt the need that I should be a part of the organization and sign up and be part of, take advantage of the resources that you have to offer. So, I went to the EDGE conference last, was it August, in Nashville. And actually, I'm still referring to some of those takeaways today in many of my meetings and discussions I have with other people. The third-party logistics report that CSCMP puts out annually is definitely a must-read. More and more with sustainability being a hot topic, your state of supply chain sustainability report came in handy for me. I was actually just on a panel last Friday for a local university talking about sustainability, and I made reference to some of the CSCMP stuff. So it's been very valuable for me. And again, I just look forward to, the EDGE conference, as well as getting more involved at the local level on some of the roundtables as well.
I'm really glad to hear that, of course. I appreciate that. Those reports are definitely, yeah, they're must reads for folks in those specific areas. Anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience, either about your company or about yourself?
Just one or two tidbits. One thing that we're pretty proud of here is we actually started the movement for the first and only National Logistics Day for our industry back 5 years ago. June 28th is now the official National Logistics Day, thanks to the foundation that we sort of laid. And now there's another association that's really focused on the 3PL industry that's taking the ball and running with that. But we kind of got that initiative up and running. So kind of proud that we played a small part in that. I mentioned the sustainability thing, and just one quick thing I wanted to mention, that we do that's kind of unique, that might be of interest to other members, but a lot of 3PLs, they're non-asset based, similar to ourselves, where other than our warehouses, we don't really have that many assets. So our carbon footprint is pretty minimal. So we've made a conscious effort to focus on plastic neutrality. So we work with a company called Ocean Integrity, and they have a unique process for pulling plastic waste out of the oceans. And we basically invest in their ability to do that. And we've been plastic neutral for the last 3 years now, having pulled out over 3.5 million kilos of plastic waste, which actually makes us plastic positive, not just neutral. But it's a really cool program. Would love to share that information with anybody who has an interest in it. But those plastic credits can also be converted to carbon credits if those are more interesting for people. But again, just another way that I think all of our companies and all of your members should be, thinking about sustainability efforts within their own kind of either footprint or their own supply chains.
Yeah, I love that you shared that. I'm gonna make sure to invite you to a networking event that we're having next week. Actually, we one of the things that we started offering. Well, I guess technically we started offering in December for our Premier members is a monthly virtual networking opportunity with other Premier members. And one of the things that those folks have asked me in the past couple of months is, they'd like to occasionally have a guest speaker come in for a few minutes and present on a topic that's hot. And the very first topic they requested was in regards to sustainability. So
Yep.
I'll make sure you get that invitation, and if you're able to, you can join that. That would be great. I'm sure that there'll be folks interested in what you guys are doing at Logistics Plus then, because they're going to be coming to hear this speaker as well. So
Yeah, we do think it's a great program. They actually have a program called Blue Oceans Program that other companies can participate in. So happy to share more information about it if the opportunity presents itself.
that sounds great. That is all the time we have today. Scott, I thank you for your membership with CSCMP. Appreciate you joining us for this edition of Member Mondays, and look forward to chatting again soon.
Thanks again for having me, Tim. And again, visit us at logisticsplus.com if you want to learn more about Logistics Plus.
Fantastic.